Today, let us talk about computer resets, when we should do it, and why at times it is dangerous to even do a reset. Your time is valuable, so I would not hold you hostage as to what we are going to cover today. We are going to look at the article that was published in Airbus Safety First magazine. First, we will look at the dangers of computer reset. Then we will look at the items that we can reset. Next is what are the items that we can reset that are not listed in the book. And finally, what is the moral of the story? We start with the true story. An Airbus A320 had an ECAM, brakes auto brake fault ECAM alert that was triggered when the engines were started. The pilots then switch off the anti-skid and nose-wheel steering switch and then turn it back on. This cleared the alert. But during the takeoff roll, the brakes anti-skid nose-wheel steering fault ECAM alert came on. Once the aircraft lifted off, the pilots then did a second reset by switching the anti-skid and nose-wheel steering switch to off and then to on. Now, they have already done 2 resets. During approach, the brakes anti-skid nose-wheel steering fault was triggered again, and for the 3rd time, the pilots performed the reset. What happened next took the pilots by surprise. Immediately after touchdown, they noticed an unusual braking behavior. They applied full reverse thrust and manual braking. The aircraft stopped, but the pilots could not taxi the plane. This is because all 4 main tires had burst during landing. Now, reports show that there are 7 times brakes auto brake fault and 2 times brakes anti-skid nose-wheel steering fault came on over the course of 2 months before this incident. System resets and testing the BSCU were the only maintenance actions that were done each time. During the time of this incident, the QRH is different from the QRH now. Back then, in the A320 QRH, there is no reset procedure for brakes auto brake fault and brakes anti-skid nose-wheel steering fault. The only 2 resets that was allowed was brake system 1-2 fault and brakes BSCU channel 1-2 fault ECAM alerts. When the pilots did the resets in flight, the degrading condition of the braking system was hidden. As it turns out, there was a dual tachometer failure, and this delayed the braking system activation. When the pilots did the reset, the BSCU thinks that the actual speed was 0 knots. After 15 seconds, the system recovered, but the BSCU was unable to compute the anti-skid order and so sent full hydraulic pressure to the brakes instead. This in turn caused all 4 tires to burst. What is a system reset? Well, it is an act of switching off a system and then switching it back on to restore a normal system behavior. This is different from re-engaging a tripped circuit breaker. If a circuit breaker is tripped, it is because there is an overload of electrical current in the circuit. Circuit breakers that trip automatically will prevent overheating that could lead to a fire. But this is not what we are covering today. There are 2 types of resets, automatic and manual. Automatic is when the plane detects a fault and resets by itself. For example, the FMS. As for manual resets, you can reset either by pulling the circuit breaker or pressing the reset switch, which are available on the overhead panel. When you pull the circuit breaker, that is considered a hard system reset. You're causing the software to reload. This can pose a problem when you pull it at the wrong time. For example, in flight and the flight control computers is being reset. This will cause unwanted movements of the flight control surfaces. The avionics systems are connected to one another. So, if you reset one system and couple with another system that failed, you will compromise safety. So, what are the cases that a pilot can perform a system reset? 3 cases that we will look into. Case 1 is when there is a system reset that is specifically requested in an ECAM, OEB, AFCOM or QRH procedure. Case 2 is when there is an option after an ECAM procedure. This is after all ECAM is performed and the pilot flying announces stop ECAM. The pilot flying can then consider if it is necessary to perform a computer reset before proceeding to the status page. So the question is, if there are no reset procedure available in the system reset table, can you still perform the reset? I will answer that shortly. Reset procedure is always a read and do act. There has to be a reference in front of you before performing the reset, and always cross-check. Especially a guarded cockpit control, a CV or a reset button. Case 3 is for system resets for electrical transient faults for the A320 on the ground only. When the plane is powered up or APU takes over or an engine start, some aircraft systems can be affected. If the affected system is listed in the QRH, then follow the system reset table. If it is not listed in the QRH system reset table, then apply the general guidelines in the QRH procedure. The question is, what are the general guidelines? In-flight reset if the system failure is listed and authorized in the system reset table. On the ground, reset if the system is listed and authorized in the system reset table. You also can reset affected systems that are not listed in the system reset table. But only on the ground you can do that, and mainly if it is due to an electrical transient. For cockpit controls, switch off, wait 3 seconds and turn it back on. For circuit breakers, cross-check both PM and PF and pole. Wait 5 seconds and push back the C-beam. Once reset, wait for 3 seconds and record it in the logbook. For the maintenance guys, there are 2 types of scenarios when they can perform a reset. Case 1 is when the reset is in the maintenance procedure. Fairly simple. By referring to the troubleshooting manual, the TSM, the maintenance crew will perform the reset if needed to. For case 2, if the aircraft operations are affected by electrical transients, then it is allowed to perform a reset on the A320 family, even though it is not listed in the TSM task. But the reset can only be done under certain conditions. The TSM list of authorized resets are the same as the authorized resets on the ground in the A320 QRH. Number 1, if the affected system is listed in the system reset table, the reset can be done, but only for the ECAM alerts or system malfunctions specifically listed on the table. For any other ECAM alerts or system malfunctions not listed, the reset is not authorized, despite the system itself being listed in the reset table. But if the affected system is not listed in the system reset table, then a reset is authorized with no specific restrictions. Always record and monitor the system reset. This is to provide a history of failures so that we can monitor the trend. So in conclusion, unauthorized resets of an aircraft system can hide a deteriorating condition of the system. Even though the alert disappears on the ground, it could reappear in flight and affect safety. A reset can be done if the affected system and ECAM alert is listed in the QRH. If there are no reset procedures available in the system reset table of the AFCOM or QRH for that particular ECAM alert, then a reset cannot be done. However, for the A320 only, due to possible electrical transients, the pilots can perform ground resets that are not listed on the reset table if the affected systems are not listed. Maintenance can perform the resets but would need to carry out recording actions or troubleshooting actions later on. For the A320, the TSM and the QRH is the same for on-ground resets. Do keep in mind that multiple and reported resets can degrade system conditions. The fault might appear later on during the flight. Therefore, there should be a monitoring system in place to maintain safe aircraft operations.